Oh, hey guys, welcome back to another tutorial. We're back in Unreal Engine 4, and we're going to continue working on the shooting range blueprint kind of game. So, where we left off last time is we have the player able to basically spawn projectiles and fire at them, and they explode. So, basic recap of that. So that's what we have set up. So we're going to do one quick thing here. In the My Character class, where we take the input action jump, which is the spacebar, we're going to grab a destroy actor node, plug that into the pressed, and then plug that into the delay, and then the target is going to be this disk reference that we had from earlier. We're going to grab the disk reference, and we're going to plug it right in. So now, when we play, I press spacebar, and then I press spacebar again. It destroys the current one and just sends out another one in a second. So that's something awesome that we would want to need in there. So we're going to leave that alone. We're going to keep that as it is right now. So this tutorial is going to focus more on the HUD elements now, because we want to have basically a timer and a score to be kept track of. So we're going to need the My HUD class. So if we go to the Blueprints folder in the Game folder here, we have a class that says My HUD. That's exactly what we need. They already have one for the crosshair on screen, so we don't need to do that. We don't need to do anything with that. But you are going to need to draw text. We're going to need to plug that in. And the target is going to be itself. Screen X and screen Y, we're basically going to need these values here as well. So what we're going to do instead, we're going to take these conversions, we're going to cut them off, and we're going to promote these to variables here. And we're going to name these screen X and screen Y. We're going to plug these in. Name that screen underscore Y. Then we're going to control left click drag these out, plug them in. And we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to grab these variables, grab them here, throw them in. So basically, we're basically grabbing the middle of the screen at this point. So that's fine for what we need right now, but first we're going to go ahead and grab a font. We're going to need to open up this thing down here. It's going to say View Options, Show Engine Content is going to be what we need to click. And when we do that, we have an engine folder now. And if we just type in font, we have Robotic Distance Field. That's the one we want. So we're going to plug that into the font. So now we actually have a font, and then the text color, we're just going to make this white. And the text, I'm just going to do blah, just to see if this comes up on screen. So yeah, we have blah right there. So we see that it is basically centered in the screen. We don't really want that for each position here, so the first thing we're going to do is a timer. So we're going to take off the text, we're going to right-click, do append for strings. First thing's going to say timer, and a colon. Actually, and then after, oops, deleted all that. Timer, colon, and then a space. We're going to do 0, space, colon, space. Throw that into the text. And then we actually need to grab a branch. So disconnect those, put in a branch. Just because we're dealing with the timer, we want specific things to happen with the timer. And what we want to have happen, we basically want to have a timer that counts down. So we're going to do an event begin play. We're also going to need a new timeline. Oops. Right click, add timeline. We're just going to call this game timer. We're going to do play from start. And we're going to double click in here. We're going to do add flow track. We're just going to call this time or game time. We'll put in. And the length of it is going to be 59 seconds. We'll put 2 keyframes. Hold down shift, left click twice, just so we have 2 keyframes. First keyframe is going to be at 0, and then 59. Second keyframe is going to be at 59, and then 0. And then if we click these buttons here, we have a timeline that goes from 59 to 0 in a period of 59 seconds. So that's basically our timer. So it's pretty simple, nothing too crazy. It's something I showed you in a previous tutorial, so definitely check that out if you need more information on it, but we're going to leave it alone for right now. And what we're going to need to do right now is create a new variable. We're going to call this seconds, and it's going to be an integer. Go left click and hold down Alt and drag to get, to set these seconds here. We're going to flow in the update into the seconds, and then game time, we're basically going to do a floor and plug that in. So basically it takes the float value and converts it to the closest integer by using the floor. So now what we need to do is basically have it display those seconds on screen. So what we're going to need to do, 2 different things. We're going to need a couple of things. First, we're just going to set it up for the draw text. So we have the timer, 0:0, and then we're going to need an append. Put that in there. And we're going to need to set it up so when you get to the last 10 seconds, or after 10 seconds, you'll have 0:09, 08, 07, whereas previous you would have 10, 11, 12. There's no 0 that needs to be appended there. So we're going to do where we need to have the 0 appended into it first. So put a 0 in, and then we're going to need one last append. Put it in, and then we're just going to grab seconds, throw it in, and then throw it into the string, converts it for us, and then this will go into our text. And we now need to set up our branch too. So we're going to take seconds. We're going to ask, hey, is it less than 10? Throw that in. So we're going to say, hey, is the number of seconds less than 10? Yes? Okay. So we're going to do this one. If it's no, we're basically going to need to copy and paste some things and change things up just slightly. So let's grab all of this. Let's plug in false into that. Take off the third append, put in the converted seconds in here, and then put that as the text. Let's do that, compile, let's save, let's see what happens. So we have the timer. We do have it in the center of the screen, so we're going to have to change that too. So let's grab these guys. We're going to need to do a little bit of math. So the screen X, that's basically left and right position on screen. Right now it's in the middle, so we basically want to subtract. And this is going to be a game of finding out which number works best. So we'll do 200, put that in, and then do the same thing over here. Compile, Control S to save. So yeah, 200 is not enough. Let's try 1,000. That's too much. Let's try 800. Still too much. Oh. Let's try 600. There it is. Okay, that's perfect. So we're going to make this 600 as well. Now we got to figure out the screen Y. And obviously we want to be in the top left corner, so we're going to have to add to that. So we're going to do float plus float. We'll do 500. Put that in. Oh, let's see if there's something else. No. Alright, so let's copy and paste that for the screen Y. Compile, save, and then let's see what it looks like. It looks like that's way too much. So we're going to do 200. It looks like it's actually moving it downwards, so we're going to have to subtract. Let's see if 600. No, wait. Let's copy and paste that. Put that in for screen Y. Looks like it's too much. 400. Seems like that is too much as well. 300. There it is. So that looks good. One thing we're actually going to change here in the My HUD. First, we're going to have to make this the same value, so minus 300. Put that in. And let's go to our timeline real quick. Let's make the whole length 60 seconds. Make this value 60. And then make this value 60. That way, it starts at 59 seconds at the top. Now we have a game timer. And if we, obviously, we're going to wait the time just to make sure it works, but when it gets to underneath 10 seconds, there should be a 0, and then the 9, the 8, the 7, so on and so forth. So let's just make sure that works before we move forward. This is one of the more tedious parts of this. So we just gotta wait. And we're waiting, and we're waiting, and we're waiting. If you want to skip forward in the video, go for it. But we're at the 10-second mark. Boom. Alright, cool. So the last thing we need for the HUD is going to be a player score. So we're going to need another draw text. Plug these both in. We need to grab that font, and then the text color is going to be white. And for the actual text itself, we're going to need to first create a new variable. It's going to be an integer. We're going to call this player score. And compile. The initial value is going to be 0, so we're going to leave that alone. So we're going to need an append for the string. It's going to be score : space. and then B is going to be the player score. So that's going to go into the text field. And then last but not least, we're going to need the screen position. So let's grab screen X, screen Y. Now we want to basically add to the X. So before we subtracted 600, so let's try adding 600. And for the Y, we're going to do the same exact thing, minus 300. Put that to screen Y. And let's compile, save. And it looks like it's a little too far for the X. So let's try 500. That looks good. I just want to go ahead and make it 400. Just so in case the score gets pretty high up there, we want there to be room for it. But now we have the HUD. So that's awesome. So that's all we're going to do for this tutorial. So again, all we did to recap here, we created the timer using this timeline here from 60 to 0 seconds. So it counts down, and we basically floor that float to an integer and set it to our seconds variable. And then basically we display that seconds variable over here to draw on the text for our HUD. We have two different ones depending on whether or not the time left is underneath 10 seconds. And then last, we have the score here. We have displaying on screen. Right now, we're not adding anything to the score. We haven't done that functionality just yet. We're going to do that in the next tutorial. So that's all we're going to do for right now for this tutorial, get the HUD set up. So that's it for this one. Definitely like the video if you enjoyed the content. Subscribe if you haven't. Share the video. Check out more of my videos as well. And also subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely appreciate it. So again, that's it for this tutorial. See you guys next time. Bye!